Welcome to the vlog. Hi, my name is Autumn. I'm a reader and a writer, and today I have a reading vlog for you. So if you watched my TBR video where I introduced my new R-gorithm game, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I will leave it linked down below. Definitely go check it out because I loved it. I loved filming it. I am so freaking excited for it. And I feel like I forgot one of the books is over here. In that video, I had 4 books that were randomly selected, and this video is going to be me reading those books or reading as much of those books as we can. We'll talk about each of those books as we get to them, but I want to say that I read one of those books already. It was the 4th book, which was just rude. I did not want to read this book. In fact, that's why I read it first. And it's The Lucky One by Nicholas Sparks. I could have gone my entire life without reading a Nicholas Sparks book. We're just starting out with that. I gave it a 2.5 star. It was fine. It was nothing special. It was just okay. I just strictly read the audiobook or listened to the audiobook as I was putting around doing other things because I knew in my heart that I could not just sit here and enjoy reading this book. I just couldn't have. And I'm really glad that I didn't try and sit down and read this book because I probably would have DNF'd it. So I won't spoil anything. However, it came out in 2008. So if you haven't seen the movie or if you haven't read this, I don't think you'll read it. So this book follows 3 perspectives. We have our main character and his name was Logan Thibault. And then we had our love interest and her name was Elizabeth. Sometimes she went by Beth. And we have Elizabeth's ex-husband. The way this book opens up, this storyline, I hated. I hated the storyline that we were first introduced to. The first chapter, hated it. Disgusting. It's been a very long time since I've watched the movie. I don't remember if that was actually in the movie. I feel like it was taken out, but I honestly cannot confirm nor deny that. All I have to say is I feel like that storyline just dropped off. I felt like Nicholas Sparks felt like he could introduce this book with this as chapter 1 and then how the book ended and that be okay. There was no reconciliation to me. However, this ex-husband's ending in this, that is not justice. Okay, there's still so much that was left out that we should have discussed. I couldn't believe that one storyline. I didn't feel like the characters were super memorable. I mean, it was fine. I thought the writing was okay. It never really got me like choked up. I was never really like upset or emotional. Maybe once or twice when it was talking about like PTSD. I do think some of those conversations were okay, like kind of well done, but there's better out there, I feel like. 2.5 star. This is not a book I'm going to be thinking about for years and years on end. It was a good palate cleanser from reading a lot of fantasy, from reading thrillers, but I think when I want a palate cleanser and I want a romance, I'm not reaching for Nicholas Sparks. I'm going to be reaching for Emily Henry. There are more recent books that have been published and other authors that I feel like they did better. Not necessarily the same concept, because at least in this book, it's a closed door adult romance, but I don't mind the spice. All that to say is if I wanted a romance, if I needed a good palate cleanser, I would not be reaching for Nicholas Sparks. I personally like Laurie Gilmore books too. So those would be books that I would be reaching for, or authors I'd be reaching for. All that to say, I did finish one of the books on this list. I was going to start, you can see I took the cover off, fully prepared to read the book. I was going to read The Cat Who Saved Books, and I need to learn how to pronounce the author's name before I butcher it again. It's a Japanese retelling, and I was going to read this book one day last week. It's a very short book. I have the audiobook for it too. I'm very much a tandem reader. I love reading a physical book and listening to it. It's my favorite way to read. I ended up not, because the audiobook from Libby for Intermezzo came in, which is, I think it was the second, it was one of the 4 books. The dust jacket is somewhere. So I decided to do Intermezzo, one, because it's over 400 pages. And since that is going to be a library audiobook and I only have it for 21 days, I figured I should start reading this one first before I read my little baby one. That's like a 3-hour audiobook. I have started Intermezzo. I am about 50 pages in. I've read 1 chapter. I'm in the middle of the 2nd chapter. First chapter, we follow one of the brothers, Peter, and then in chapter 2 we're following the other brother, Ivan. I was very, very nervous in chapter 1 with how it was structured. The writing style I was a little concerned about. If I had been just listening to it, I would have struggled a little bit more. I wasn't prepared for the writing style starting out. However, getting to chapter 2, I understand why it was the way it was. So we're past the initial confusion, 50 pages in. I like it so far. We're gonna keep reading this. This will be the next book that I probably give you guys an update on. I will also have this one too. I don't know if we're going to be getting to the fourth book in at least this video. It might be one that spans over a couple of videos. If you watched my other video, then you know what book I'm talking about, but it's chunker. I am going to continue reading. Actually, I'm editing a video right now. I am going to finish editing that video. I think I want to get to 100 pages today in Intermezzo by Sally Rooney, and then give you guys maybe an update in a few days. I work all weekend, so we probably won't get an update until either Monday morning or Monday afternoon, because I'm not working, but I have clinicals for my master's program. So I want to try and squeak in an update on either Monday or Tuesday. So we're gonna be chipping away at this. Welcome to the video. I'm so happy to have you here with me, and let's get into it.
I didn't know I was telling a lie. It's been a long day for sure. How could I resist your smile?
I finished Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. I am giving this 4.5 stars. I really loved this book. I would not be surprised if this is not in my top books of the year. I loved the writing style. I know in my last update, I wasn't quite sure how I felt about the writing style, but as I got more into it, I feel like the writing style in those specific chapters made sense to the story, and it added a lot of like life to this particular character. So the story follows two brothers, and they're pretty much going through life after the death of their father. They have a pretty big age gap. I think the one brother is 21, 22, 23, and then the other brother is in his mid-30s. So they're in different phases of life, and they've never had the best relationship, the two of them, and seeing their relationship with each other throughout this story, but also the characters' relationships with their father and with the other side characters, I really loved seeing that. I felt like these were real people. I could get behind, maybe not necessarily get behind their decisions, but I could get behind these characters and like understand them and understand what their struggles are, what they're going through in life. I think that this story talked about grief in a very healthy way, and I felt like it was a really great representation of how a 23-year-old would grieve versus someone in their mid-30s. Now, I'm not in my mid-30s, so I can't say if it was accurate. However, you could tell that there was a clear difference between how someone in their early 20s grieves compared to somebody who is in their, 30s, mid-30s. I can't spoil anything, but there was a storyline in here that I found so refreshing, and it was a very powerful situation that I really enjoyed. I think it was talked about in a very healthy way, and I think that it was explained in this situation in a really great way. I was super happy to see that kind of representation in here, because I've actually never read a book that has that representation in here. So to read it and to see it done justice, or at least talked about, and to me it was a healthy way, and I thought it was a great conversation. I really loved seeing that in here. I also am not a fan of an age gap, and there is an age gap in here. That's not a spoiler because it's talked about. Yep, it's talked about in the synopsis. Ivan, the 22-year-old brother, he does end up meeting an older woman. I believe she was in her late 30s. She was like just slightly older than the other brother. I loved seeing that. While I am kind of funny about age gaps, my age gap issues are more like between fairies that are 500 years old and 17-year-old girls. To me, I feel like if everybody's an adult, they are consensual, everybody understands what's going on, and there's open communication, it's fine for me. I felt okay with the age gap romance that was in here. It didn't feel like icky or weird. I didn't feel that way about it. I thought that it was a great representation of an age gap romance. This is the only book by Sally Rooney that I have read, but I would not be opposed to explore her backlist one day and see what else she has out there. I think on this it said she's the author of Beautiful World, Where Are You? And I know that she's the author of Normal People. I don't know what either of those two books are about, but I would not be opposed to looking at those, looking a little bit further into those, because I really enjoyed this. I did. And so I gave it 4.5 stars. I look forward to the other books in this video to see how we do. I feel like we've been hot and cold. I am very curious to see how I am going to enjoy the next book on the docket, which is going to be The Cat Who Saved Books.
Will you bet if you get the chance? I know I surely would. When you're away, there's a hole in my heart. Feels like a deja
finished The Cat Who Saves Books. I feel like it sits between a 3 and a 2.5. It feels a little more disappointing, so I'm not going to spoil anything, but I think I was just expecting more, and I felt like it was a little difficult for me to connect with the characters. We would go on different adventures, which I love that concept, and I was really excited to go on these adventures, but I just felt like the adventures we went on were a little flat. They felt kind of like self-explanatory. I didn't feel like there was a plot twist. I was just expecting maybe more. I did like it because I think that it was important. Now, this happens in the first chapter. I think on the first page we learn this, that our main character's grandfather passes away. We experience his journey of grief through this too, which I love. I love when we explore grief. I think I was still just expecting a little bit more. I just feel like sometimes you read even short books like this and they still pack a lot of punch. I just felt with this book, we were just missing some pieces. It was still a cute little story. I think that's all it is I was just expecting to get more out of this story than what we got. That's why I kind of teeter between a 3, because it's like, I would recommend it. I think it's like a cute little palette cleanser if you just want a little something, you know, to just pop your headphones in and listen to something. But then I kind of teeter towards like the 2.5. But I feel like when I teeter towards the 2.5, it's mainly because I just feel a little disappointed, and maybe I had different expectations of what I wanted to get out of the book versus what the book actually was. I think that there were some connections with some of the characters that I really enjoyed. I was a little disappointed in the cat. I was expecting a little bit more. I think reality versus expectations, we just didn't meet eye to eye, but I'm glad I read it. I'm happy I read it because it was something I was looking forward to, and it was on my priority TBR for 2026. We did read a priority TBR book, which is great. We actually read 2 in our first 2 months of the year. The last book on this list, which it's in the bedroom, is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. It is February 16th, and that book is over 800 pages, just being realistic. I will not finish that book by the end of this video, so that's definitely going to be one that gets carried over. I at least want to start it in this video, and I feel like that will be enough for me. This is not part of the video, but I just want to mention that the book I'm currently reading, The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, I'm about halfway through. I need to finish this by next Monday. I will come back to you guys after I've read a little bit of Priory of the Orange Tree. I honestly feel like I've done pretty well. I mean, I know it was only 4 books in 2 months, but I'm pretty proud of that.
Pumping next to my high. Do you feel that I'm your missing part? That you're finally right. You got me.
I have 3 updates. So one is this box behind me. I've got one here and one here. So let's do right to left or maybe left to right for you. My first update is Priory of the Orange Tree. I started it and I am 17 pages in. I am not going to finish this book by the end of February. I will probably not finish this book by the end of April. Why do I think this? Why am I already setting myself up for failure? 2 things. The book is over 800 pages. And the second thing, I do not support Amazon. And the only way I can get this audiobook is through Amazon, like through Audible, and we don't do that around here. So it's just me and my eyeballs reading this book. I'm a slow reader by myself. I very much just take my time when I read books. I'm going to keep reading this book, but it's going to take me a very, very long time. I'm in no rush, but I want to go ahead and just put that out there. It will probably be in the next reading vlog for the next 2 months. I might just continue to update you guys until I finish it. But I want to say, even though I am 17 pages in, I actually really love the writing. I think it pulls you in immediately. I'm very intrigued. I'm very interested to see what's going on in this world. I'm kind of digging it. Not kind of, I am digging it, and I'm excited to get back to it. So I'm gonna keep reading this book. The second update I want to tell you guys is I'm unhauling all of my Nicholas Sparks books. I purchased these books from a used bookstore in my area, and after reading The Lucky One, they're just not for me. And I have The Best of Me and Dear John. Who knows? I might like those 2 books. I just don't see myself craving Nicholas Sparks, or I don't see myself, if I land on one of these other 2 books for a shuffle, I just don't see myself really wanting to read them. I need to give them back, put them out into the universe for somebody else to read and to enjoy. And I don't need to keep them on my shelves if I'm not going to read them, if I'm not gonna pass them on to somebody else to read. Well, I might see if my mom wants to read them, but she really doesn't need to waste her time with it. Wanted to say that since I read the lucky one in this video. The third thing, I have book mail from Barnes & Noble. I had some gift cards for Christmas. I don't even remember the last time I purchased myself a book. I am trying to think of the last book I bought myself with my money, not like with a gift card from somebody else, because when I use a gift card from somebody else, I technically consider that like that person gave me that gift, you know, or like that person bought me that book. So I don't really consider when I buy myself books with gift cards and the gift cards were from other people, I don't consider that me buying myself that book. I consider it that person buying me that book, if that makes any sense. I really don't remember the last book I bought myself that was not gifted or through like a gift card. I'm gonna have to think about that. I think there's 5 books in here. Are there 5? 2, 4, 5. Yes, so there's 5 books, and I'm gonna go through them just really quickly. But the reason I bought these 2 books, and I felt like I could mention them in this video, was because I talked about a different book. I did get The Wicked King and The Queen of Nothing. I am so happy to have this book in my hands. I really love this author. She's right here. Her other book is going to go up here. This is Anya Gray's I, Medusa. I have read book 1 in her Beasts of Prey trilogy, and I need to read the other 2 books, but when I heard that this book was coming out, I had to get it. It's in my hot little hands, and I cannot wait. I think this series was on my priority TBR, my priority series of 2026, but this is book 3. I haven't started this series, and these books are all chunky, and they're also up here with Miss Anya Gray. Those are the other 2 books, and it's The Curse of Gods by Kate Dramas. Now that the series is complete, I feel like I can start the series. The last book, and I have yet to read a book by this author, and I own 3 books by her. She's somewhere behind me. Oh yeah, right here. And she is amazing. But it's R.F. Kuang's Catabasis, or Catabasis, or however you pronounce that. But I'm super excited. That was my quick little mini haul. I am going to continue to read The Priory of the Orange Tree, and the next time I make a good dent into this, which like how do you even make a dent into this? I am going to get back to reading and hanging out with Crash, who is sitting in a sunbeam. So I'm here to close out the vlog. I just put Sam Shan's book in the other room because I just finished filming the next 4 books that I'm going to, well 5 technically, for the next 2 months. I wanted to come in here and close out the vlog and say I have read 54 pages of The Priory of the Orange Tree. Loving it. I love the writing. It's very easy to read. It just flows, and I am so invested in this story. A fear of mine, like forever with this book, is I was concerned that it was going to be slow paced. But the longer that this book had sat on my shelf, you know, you hear bits and pieces of books here and there. And I had overheard that because it's such a chunky book, it's not, I don't want to say all chunky books are slow, but this book has solid pacing, is from what I've heard. Again, I've only read 54 pages, so I can neither confirm nor deny that for 55 plus pages. But I will say that this book immediately has me captivated. And so the point that I'm trying to make is some people, just what happens sometimes with chunkier books, there are some parts of books that like they sag a little bit, or they're a little bit slower, not necessarily sagging, but you know, they might not just be as exciting, or you know, battles and things like that. I've heard with this book that it's pretty engaging through the whole 890 something pages that it is. I can confirm with at least the first 54 pages I've read, it's very engaging. I'm very intrigued. I want to know more about these characters, the world, the magic, the dragons. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So far, this book has been very impressive. Oh, as I kick you, sorry. I very much love it. I have a feeling I am going to really enjoy this book, but it is going to be a much slower pace. With that, that's everything I have for this video. I finished 3 out of the 4 books, and I started all 4. I am definitely considering that a win. I will see you guys in the next reading vlog in a couple of months, and we'll see how I do with the next 4 books in this video series. If you don't know what 4 books I'm talking about, I will leave episode 2 of the R-gorithm game linked down below if you want to check it out and continue to follow this fun little reading journey. But thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.